Reports emerging from Israel reveal a troubling rise in suicides among Israeli Defense Forces (IDF) soldiers, with at least 6 soldiers taking their own lives in recent months. According to a detailed account by the Israeli daily Yedioth Ahronoth, the prolonged and intense conflicts in Gaza and Lebanon are taking a severe psychological toll on IDF personnel. Military and mental health experts attribute the suicides to a combination of unrelenting combat exposure, extended deployment, and the emotional strain of the ongoing wars. The IDF has long grappled with mental health challenges among its ranks, but the recent surge in suicides underscores the profound impact of the current multi-front conflicts. Soldiers are frequently rotated between battle zones, including Gaza, where fierce urban combat against Hamas fighters persists, and Lebanon, where escalating skirmishes with Hezbollah have added another layer of stress. The lack of rest, combined with the constant threat of attacks and the moral and ethical dilemmas faced in combat, is contributing to what military psychologists describe as extreme psychological distress. One senior IDF officer, speaking on condition of anonymity, noted that the war's prolonged nature has exacerbated existing pressures. Our soldiers are not only fighting an enemy on the battlefield but also an invisible battle within themselves. They're carrying immense burdens, and for some, it becomes unbearable. The 6 suicides reported recently are believed to be linked directly to the strains of military life in active conflict zones. While the IDF has robust systems for tracking and responding to combat stress, the sheer scale of the wars and the intensity of the combat have overwhelmed resources. For many soldiers, the stigma surrounding mental health issues remains a barrier to seeking help. Family members of the affected soldiers have called for greater attention to the mental health needs of IDF personnel. One grieving parent, whose son was among the 6 soldiers, described him as a dedicated young man who wanted to serve his country. She added, "We didn't see this coming. He seemed so strong, but inside, he was struggling." The IDF has acknowledged the gravity of the issue and announced plans to enhance mental health support for its soldiers. A spokesperson stated that the military is deeply committed to the well-being of every soldier and is working to implement measures such as mandatory mental health check-ins, expanded access to psychologists, and increased awareness campaigns aimed at reducing stigma. While these steps are critical, critics argue they may not go far enough to address the root causes of the problem. The military ombudsman recently published a report highlighting deficiencies in the IDF's mental health system, including understaffing and long waiting times for psychological services. The report emphasized the need for systemic changes to ensure soldiers receive timely and adequate support. The broader societal implications of these suicides have also sparked debate in Israel. Advocacy groups are calling for a national conversation about the pressures faced by soldiers and the broader psychological toll of the ongoing wars. Some have suggested that the government invest more in preventative measures, including mental resilience training before deployment and enhanced support networks for soldiers and their families. The rising suicide rate among IDF soldiers also reflects a global issue faced by militaries engaged in prolonged conflicts. Studies have shown that exposure to sustained combat increases the risk of mental health conditions such as post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, depression, and anxiety, which, if left untreated, can lead to tragic outcomes. Comparisons are being drawn between the IDF's challenges and those faced by other nations' armed forces, including the United States and its allies, which have reported similar trends during long military engagements in Iraq and Afghanistan. For now, the Israeli public and military leadership are grappling with how to prevent further loss of life within the IDF. As the wars in Gaza and Lebanon show no signs of abating, the urgency of addressing the mental health crisis among soldiers becomes ever more apparent. The tragedy of these suicides serves as a sobering reminder of the unseen costs of war, borne not just on the battlefield but also in the hearts and minds of those who serve.